Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everything in between. Welcome to another episode of the DC Podcast. Very few people are here today, myself included. You guys know me. I've introduced myself like a million times, so I'm not going to keep going with it. But I do want to also take this time to quickly announce that I mentioned before that the Love Hawks project was under production, but now it's really is going under production, and hopefully within the next month or two, I will be able to show you the first glimpse of the first scene, storyboarded, and when that happens, I'll let you guys know. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube. I can't wait for it. Now onto the actual official podcast. Today we have we actually have a new guest today. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hey, Draco here, otherwise known as Andre, and essentially I'm an amateur voice actor, and that's essentially it. And we're here to talk some shop about DC. Huh? What was that?
Do you want to tell the folks who you play?
Oh yeah, I portrayed Bronze Tiger in the most recent episode, right? Yeah, that was just
That episode is crazy. By the way, it's getting like crazy views. It has like 71 views already.
Oh, how many? Because I checked it out when it first dropped, but
71.
That's good. That's really good.
Let me just update this and see if it's gone up because for this channel, like I have other channels where it's gone higher than that easily, but for this channel, like 71 within not even 2 days is just insane to me, and I'm so happy that this one is going good. Although I've had some people, moan to me. He's just like, Bronze Tiger is a villain. He's in prison for a reason. He may not be like the worst villain out there, but I wouldn't consider him quite a hero yet.
Yeah, he's not always on the right side of the law.
Yeah, and that's probably where why I kind of count him. Like, to me, villains usually also count as anti-heroes, especially if they are known to break the law.
Yeah, exactly. It's just good intentions, sometimes not the best execution, right?
Yeah. So I don't think Bronze Tiger is like evil.
Nah.
I don't think I do think he has like a moral compass.
Yeah.
But this episode was also the first episode written by one of our new writers, Loop, who recently just graduated from high school.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so honestly, congrats to her. I hope she enjoys adult life because the adult life is gonna kick our ass.
Yeah, it's yeah, but I'd say since I've been adulting for, dang, I'm getting old, 6 years since, and
only
it's not.
6.
Yeah, only 6. Honestly, like adulting doesn't truly start till post college, so I've only been really adulting for like 1 year.
Yeah, for me, I've been adulting for 7 years since I graduated high school, and then it was 2020 and it was 2019 where I graduated from college. Yeah. So I've been adulting for 4 years, and then the pandemic hit and kind of fucked everything up, and I've been working full-time usually since 2020.
Yeah, similar situation where I guess my current situation is I have 2 part-time jobs, whereas because voiceover is my main gig for the most part, but I still have a job outside of the booth.
Yeah, which is good. I'm hoping to eventually just make a living doing like this YouTube thing. I know, I'm not sure if it will happen, but I'm hoping I can. I put a lot of work into this. Everyone else does put work into this as well, and I just can't wait till the day I can just quit the jobs and just focus on writing. Or anything like that. Because honestly, this channel, for the most part, has basically kind of been like a resume for me.
Which is cool,
yeah, it's because I'm showing off my writing skills and just be like, and I can go to a company and just be like, hey, look at what I've done with the DC characters. Imagine what I can do for you.
Yeah. And see, that's the like a lot of creatives sort of start in a similar boat because it's the same thing with voice acting where I'm sure as you know, where yeah, you start off doing just, various projects, indie projects, and then you move on, move up and up as you build your resume. It's the thing is I started doing corporate and commercial stuff in narration, and I dipped my toes into the character work it's been about 8 months now, and that's been going well. I enjoy it.
Yeah,
I think Bronze Tiger was one of the first times I portrayed a character.
Well, I'm glad that I was one of the first people to cast you as a character then.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You did a really good job though. You had that like voice I was looking for because again with Bronze Tiger as a character, he needs to be serious. He needs to be calm because he is a martial artist, and part of being a good martial artist is staying calm.
Yeah,
I actually ended up doing some bit more research, and apparently he's actually in the top 5 of the best fighters in DC.
really. I remember we discussed this before, but I don't know where we placed him or where we, what our conclusion was, but I remember we definitely discussed he was up there because it was of course, being able to hold your own against Batman automatically puts you somewhere in like the top maybe 10 at least if you can hold your own versus him.
Yeah,
then
top
there's
15.
Yeah. And then there's Deathstroke and
Lady Shiva.
Lady Shiva, yeah.
Kane.
Yeah.
You have Richard Dragon, who I didn't know existed, who's apparently number 1.
Really?
And apparently in a few continuities, Bronze Tiger trained with Richard Dragon. So that should tell you that he's not to fuck with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, it's good to measure everything up because it also kind of shows like how dangerous like a character, like some of my own original characters for this DC universe is like Marcus. Like Marcus is like he's not 100% in the top 10, but he fucks with the top 10.
Yeah, and see, and the interesting thing of like how I think about it sometimes is even like you said, like even someone who's not in the top 10 but still being a good contender, it's interesting because even number 10 is still like obscenely dangerous. Like,
Oh yeah.
Even to their contemporaries like number 9 or 8. Because
we got so lucky that Batman pulls his punches.
Yeah,
I swear to you that Batman himself, if he stopped pulling his punches, he'll very quickly become one of the deadliest people.
Right.
And actually, I want to call someone out on YouTube. Classic Man D. So I love his videos. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video he made that kind of irked me. So he said, basically, this whole Lady Shiva is the most deadliest woman in DC is bullshit because Wonder Woman is not dangerous. And I want to make this clear. There's a difference between being strong because Wonder Woman is probably the strongest woman in DC.
Yeah.
She's in the top 3, like with Big Barda and stuff. I'm not taking that away from her. But the difference is the difference between Superman and Red Hood.
Yeah, Red Hood. Yeah, go ahead.
Superman you'll probably walk out of the fight. Wonder Woman isn't out for blood. Usually, when she's written well, she's not out for blood.
Yeah.
Lady Shiva, though, if you meet her and she fights you, you're on a list. You will die. That's why she's more deadly than Wonder Woman, because every single fight she's probably been in before we get introduced to her has ended in her killing someone with her fist.
Yeah, because and like you said, I think unfortunately my mic cut out for a sec, but I think I gathered the gist of what you said. But like, I wanted to say that dang, as far as because all of these for the most part, maybe like 50-60% of the people in the top 10 are talking as far as most well-trained martial artists. You pull their punches for the most part, because I was thinking about what you said about Batman. It's like in a lot of the canon, if not all the canon, Batman has like a bench press max of like 1,000 pounds, bro. If he wanted to take your head off, he could.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you have like a glass jaw.
Yeah.
And so let's, we both mentioned this before the podcast. We both have some beef with the DCU.
Yeah.
Because it's honestly hasn't been handled well, and so I want to go back and just kind of like talk about like the original Justice League real quick, because we both want to talk about Flash and Ezra Miller,
Yeah.
but I could, one of my coworkers can quote you, ex-coworkers can quote me on this, saying that I did not like Ezra Miller's portrayal of Barry from the beginning. Before I found out anything about his past life, I wasn't the biggest fan of him as Barry Allen. I think he would have, been better as a Wally West.
Yeah.
Because
See.
Barry Allen is not a frat boy.
Yeah.
Never was.
Yeah, man. And see, it's like I'm usually pretty open to various interpretations of characters, especially with like like comic book characters, because there's like a trillion and one different universes and whatnot, interpretations of them, different stories. But yeah, I can agree with that. But Flash being probably my favorite DC hero, at least I don't know. I think the Flash is probably my favorite on like feats, as far as just sort of being fun when he's written well, in my opinion.
Yeah. One thing I see a lot of people complain about with Flash is like, hey, how is he getting his butt kicked by the Rogues and all this? Is when he can move so fast. And to me, it's just like because I watched the Flash show, I read the comics, and one thing that gets mentioned, I think, more than once is that he has a higher metabolism, meaning
Yeah,
the more energy he exerts from running, the more he has to eat to regain that energy.
yeah.
So he can't always be at his fastest, like everyone wants him to be.
Yeah. Plus, there's the issue of like when you take characters, any of the Justice League, really, because they're like the beefiest ones for the most part, outside of like the universe level type characters. But when you take characters like them and you write them at peak constantly, it gets a little boring, because if like even with the metabolism thing, if you write Flash to just well, I'm going to simply speed of light punch your head off or go back in time and just win instantly, it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah,
You got to have them be up against some kind of competition occasionally.
yeah, and this is one of the things where I disagree with a lot of takes in general, but as I would say I am looking forward to the Blue Beetle movie. I will say that.
Man, I'm gonna be real. I did not know a Blue Beetle movie was coming out. I feel like I don't see Blue Beetle much in any media.
Yeah, Jaime, it's I'm sad that it's Jaime Reyes. Not I have nothing against like Jaime Reyes as a character. I love him. I love all three Blue Beetles, but I'm also just disappointed. It's like, come on, give Dan Garrett some love. Give Ted Kord some love.
Yeah, man. That's
But
I'm
I
about to
can
look into
see.
that.
I think they're going to give him some love, because I saw Ted's like Beetle Borg in the trailer, but I also saw like Dan Garrett's costume. So it seems like they're going to do it, as long as they kind of. Because the main thing about Jaime Reyes that people liked about him and why he was able to become the Blue Beetle as easily as he did compared to others was there was a level of respect in the original comics for what came before. And as long as they keep that respect in the movie, I think it will turn out fantastic.
Yeah,
Because it looks fun. It seems like it's fun. Have you seen the Black Adam movie?
I have. That was pretty good. I
Oh,
was pleasantly surprised by it, actually.
yeah. My one big complaint about it was that The Rock didn't disappear into the role. If that makes sense.
He didn't what?
Disappear in the role.
Like, you mean like you watching this, like it's like you watch it, oh, this is definitely a Rock movie. That's The Rock, right? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't mold with the character as well as he could have, because the
Yeah.
casting, if we're gonna go off of looks, for sure, I think he said it himself, he was born to play that. Like, he blew that out the water for sure.
Like, he definitely looks like he could. Like, he definitely looked like he could be Black Adam.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, take a look at John Cena, for example, with Peacemaker. John Cena
Yeah.
disappeared completely into
Yeah.
Peacemaker for like a
E-
good chunk of time.
exactly. Yeah. Because I remember, when I first heard about it and like leading up to me watching it, I was like, okay, John Cena's here. But the yeah, after like episode, honestly, like well into the first episode or two, like I was like, oh, I was into him as the character, not just this is John Cena portraying this character.
Yeah, and
Might have
part
to
of
give
that
that
is
another watch.
the part of that is because John Cena probably just has just a very lovable attitude.
I was gonna say, yeah, John Cena's like pretty good actor. Pretty good
Yeah,
actor.
I do think Rock.
Dare I say, surprisingly.
Yeah, surprisingly, definitely. I would say
Yeah.
Rock should have like disappeared into the role a bit more.
Yeah.
So, I'm a big fan of Hawkman. Love Hawks that I'm working on is a Hawkman show.
Yeah.
But a lot of people I saw some people getting upset about Hawkman being black in this. Honestly, usually I get why people are upset about it, but for me, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Hawkman and Namor. I'm going to throw Namor into this too. I
Mhm.
don't care what they are really, because for Hawkman specifically, it's because for Carter was once Prince Khufu,
Yeah.
and he reincarnated like a million times. And in like my version, he reincarnated as a Japanese man. He reincarnated as a knight, as a Kryptonian. He reincarnated all over the universe.
Yeah. And that's one of
He's just So he could have been an Asian man, and I wouldn't give a fuck either. I think the biggest problem for me personally, and this the one pet peeve I have about that, is just the people who's just like, no, Hawkman should 100% be black and nothing else, because Egypt's in Africa, without really knowing Egypt that well. Because Egypt was in like for the longest time, was in a very weird situation where, though it is in Africa, you had like, Arabic influence and Greek influence in there as well.
Yeah, Northern Africa has a lot of that.
Yeah.
Especially Egypt and Egypt and like the Morocco area. The parts of Africa where you can like on a good day see them from Europe.
Yeah, and it's just like one of the, it's one of those things where it's just like it just comes from a place of people just wanting X because Y, and it just it doesn't fully click. Like I don't care if Hawkman's black, Asian, he could be Hispanic, he could be Senegarian. His skin color really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What matters is if they get Carter right. The character right, and I will say I think they got Carter pretty accurate. There's a few, as I said before, I'm a big Hawkman fan. I do think because Prince Khufu was friends with Tef Adam, I wish some of that got brought in to it. Like I like the movie. Sorry, I'm just rambling, aren't I? And I think his mic went out.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that. No, it's fine. I was if you couldn't hear me, that was because happened again. I don't know what's going on. But if you could say again, like repeat the last sentence you said.
I was crap, I forgot.
No, I was gonna say though, like I can't say I've like ever taken in much media of him prior to that movie. But I do like his depiction. He's definitely on my radar a little bit more. I will say though, because like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by the movie. I wasn't expecting to be bad, but it came out a little better than I guess I figured, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let me give you a recommendation, and everyone at home. Robert Venditti, I think. Robert Venditti and Brian Hitch did a Hawkman comic, and it is so good.
Let me see. I'm gonna type it in now. You said Robert Van what?
Venditti.
You say Venditt. All right.
He did a really good job with Hawkman, and I think the movie overall did a really good job. The one thing though is, again, I don't know what the backstory is for this version of Hawkman is and Black Adam, but Hawkman is one of the heroes who is willing to kill.
Yeah.
But it's not out of like, it's not like Red Hood where it's just like, oh, this person's there too far, I'm going to just kill him.
Yeah.
Like for Red Hood, killing is like Plan B.
Yeah.
For Hawkman, killing is like Plan H.
Yeah, you have to definitely push him towards it.
Yeah, because even in like in our DC universe, he's ripped someone's arm off.
Yeah.
Like legit, just ripped someone's arm off because he, the guy pushed him a little bit too much on a really bad day. He just, okay, fuck this. Rip.
Yeah, which is like, I prefer like there's some characters who are like, okay, you're just dead now. Like if you cross them, you're dead. That are fun to read. But I think I prefer characters where you
really
you gotta push them.
it.
Yeah, like you have to, like, things have to be dire. Like it gets to a point where they're just like, oh, it's me or them now, or like me or them. I kill them, or they, I don't know, destroy a chunk of the, a large population or something like that.
Yeah, I would say I love Dr. Fate in this movie though.
But see, that's part of the pleasant surprise because I'm a fan of Pierce Brosnan. I have been since I saw him on the screen as Bond back in, I don't know, 1999, 2000, whenever he first portrayed Bond. 98, right? Was GoldenEye, was it? On my little,
I don't know Bond.
Bruh, I'm like, my time's off. So because I'm like, I'm a little too young to have actually seen him in GoldenEye, but whichever movie came after that, that was the first time I saw him on the screen. But anywho, big fan of him. So when I think he did a good job. Dr. Fate's a cool character anyway. And I think Pierce Brosnan was a solid casting for the character in that movie.
Yeah, and I like the idea of the helmet of Naboo giving Hawkman some of its power, because it makes sense if you go into the comic, because Naboo is friends with Khufu. They were friends. Like, Khufu has some really powerful friends, and those friendships gets brought up in the modern day. It's I thought Cyclone was fine. I think this one might be one of the ones where I was a little irked by them race dropping her, because she's because when I looked up Cyclone in the comics, the first thing that is mentioned is that she is Irish and very redheaded, and just nothing against the actress. I think the actress did perfectly fine.
Yeah, it's one of those things where
she was actually refreshing, funny enough, actually.
Yeah, because that's another character where rarely on my radar.
Yeah,
but
like, it wasn't on my radar, so I'm not going to make a big fuss out of it.
Yeah,
it's just
honestly, every character in that movie rarely on the radar, usually except sort of Black Adam and Dr. Fate.
Yeah, and then one thing I will say I liked about her in the movie was that she was intelligent, but she didn't talk down to anyone.
Yeah.
She didn't go, well, you're a fucking idiot because I know everything. She wasn't that stereotypical bitch anymore, that I've seen so often.
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think
she treated Atom Smasher as an equal, and the two of them it's very clear that the two of them enjoyed each other's company. So it's easy to buy these two becoming friends.
Yeah. I think even though we only got to see everybody on screen for like, I don't know, like, depending on the character, maybe like up to like 40, 50 minutes, I think the relationships that were portrayed were done well. Very well, actually. It made me care. That's the important part, right? You want the viewers to at least care, get invested for like however long the characters are around on the screen. And maybe moving forward, if we get more of them in whatever movies or just media in general.
Yeah, I'll be honest though, I am not going to see the Flash movie. I'm just not.
It's a possibility for me. Like I'm thinking
If
about it. I like
if
the
you do,
Flash.
if
Hmm?
you do, then buy a ticket for another movie and go into that theater. Do not
It's
give
like
don't give any money to that movie.
go there and go there with the intention of watching the Flash, and just last second, nah, never mind. They're playing anything else. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's a shame because, like I said, the Flash is probably my favorite as far as just I don't know something just I dig the idea of a guy run fast. I don't know what it is.
Well, it
Like
could
I've
be like
always been a fan.
it could also just be like the character, because honestly, every single Flash has had a lot of heart to them.
Yeah,
Too. Like Barry Allen has so much compassion. Always had so much compassion in the comics. Jay Garrick is one of the kindest and most compassionate people out there, and if he notices something's weird, he would come up and talk to you about it. It's just be like, "Hey, you need to talk about something.
yeah,
Care to explain what's going on? I care about you. I see you going down the wrong path."
yeah.
Yeah, because that's Jay, and then you have Wally, which, come on, Justice League, Wally
Yeah,
West. Even in the comics, the Rogues kind of stopped being villains once Wally took over.
which I sort of dig that. Right, I like the idea. I mean, obviously, you need to have conflict in the media. They keep it fresh and interesting. But I've always dug the idea of it can it can get to the point between the characters, specifically, hero villain, where it's just like, oh, you know what, they can start to see eye to eye. They're just
Yeah,
like, all right, let's not fight each other anymore.
and the thing is, Flash is one of the heroes I think should never go dark. Never become like a dark like Batman hero, because one of
Yeah.
his villains, which is one of my favorites, is Murmur,
Mm.
who is a serial killer who showed his mouth shut because his speech impediment gave him away. I can relate.
Yeah.
But and it's just and he's a very fucked up type character, but
Mhm.
he works with the Flash because the Flash villains aren't that bad.
Yeah,
Like
they're
they have a limit.
yeah, and a lot of
But
them have like this vibe of like, how do I put it? They're very well comic book esque.
yeah, they're not going to kill you for no reason.
Yeah, and yeah, whereas a lot of other villains in the media, in the comic book media, have like, even if they started off sort of a little more lighthearted, have evolved into being more dark.
Yeah,
Looking
and
at Batman media specifically.
yeah, and that's why I'm saying why I like Murmur so much, because if you took Murmur and you plopped him into Gotham, he would just be serial killer number 12.
Yeah.
There's been nothing interesting about him, but since he specifically fucks with the Flash, me and he's going and I see Murmur kind of having to force Flash to play detective,
Yeah.
a
And
bit more.
and that's an interesting thing because, like you mentioned, drop him in Gotham. And it's just like, okay, another guy for Batman to beat up, and he'll get out of prison in like a couple of weeks. Okay, whatever. Because as we were like talking about that, it just made me think about how some of well, I'm gonna have to bring up Gotham Batman again. It I don't know because you mentioned like if it wouldn't work for the Flash if he ever became a darker character, or if his city, let's just say his city, the area he operates, became a darker place. Because it
Yeah,
sort of does get a little boring after a while, like when, especially, especially when like the plot lines. I don't know how to describe it. When the plot
yeah.
lines are just
When
consistently
when it's just
dark.
dark, 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 and it's
Yeah.
just like there's nothing good coming out of it. And this is, like for Batman, I think the dark stories work, but they work best when there's some hope at the end of the tunnel. There's always hope,
Yeah.
because I remember this episode of Batman the Animated Series where Batman almost gives up, and then one of the things that ends up stopping him from giving up is someone legitimately changing their life for the better because of Bruce.
Yeah.
And I love that. I also think, controversial opinion. I think this is about time for Bruce in the comics to hang up the cape. I love Bruce,
Permanently
but
this time.
we've told all the stories that could be told with Bruce.
Yeah.
I think
And
it's time for Dick Grayson to become Batman.
Yeah, especially since, well, you said it. I mean, Bruce as a character is always going to get written a certain way for the most part. And I mean, outside
I
of
love
having,
Bruce.
yeah, same. And outside of like a few instances that are like, like far outliers, it's like, yeah, time to see a different take on it, considering we've seen how the other, let's just call them other Gotham heroes, the Bat family specifically,
Yeah, how
they
they
could definitely breathe some new life into the character, into the role of Batman.
And this could also help Tim Drake with one of his biggest issues, which is no one knows what to do with him. I got an idea for it. I got an idea for you.
I'm not gonna lie. I was gonna say is he? I mean, you're right. You brought him up and I'm like, oh yeah, he exists, huh? He exists. But what was your idea?
So Nightwing becomes Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Someone has to take care of Bloodhaven.
Right.
And I don't think Dick is going to trust Jason with that.
Probably not.
So
I'd agree with that.
Either have Tim Drake take over Bloodhaven, or if you really want to have some fun with him, why not just have him be a global detective? He doesn't need to be in Gotham all the time. Have him be an active, thorn in Ra's al Ghul's side.
Yeah.
Because he has earned Ghul's respect.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that as far as like global work, right? Because once again, the Bat family at large has the means to do whatever they want. Not whatever they want, but they could definitely get up to a lot of things outside of their cities or area, wherever they operate, right?
Yeah. I can understand like Cassandra Cain. Like I can see if Bruce dies, Cassandra legitimately fighting to become the next Batman. Because of how much love and respect she has for the Bat symbol.
Yeah. See, and that is one thing I dig about Batman is that he's a character where amongst even his peers that are like similar power level, or even amongst people that are like out of his league, like the superpower types, he does command a lot of respect.
Yeah, for good reason. Like, are you going to check Batman?
Good luck trying it.
Are you like legitimately? Who is going to check that man? Not me.
Yeah, like Batman. I know it's a bit of a meme at this point that Batman's sort of unstoppable, honestly, given the good old prep time. But yeah, it's like no one's gonna check Batman. Even like I said, the superpower types. He just commands too much respect at this point.
Yeah. Going back to like the DCU so Zack Snyder, like his Justice League, I haven't seen it yet. I hope it's better than Joss Whedon's. From what I've heard, it was. But one of the biggest issues I had with Zack was Zack just does not understand superheroes. He just doesn't.
Yeah, because superheroes. I think we touched on this a little bit before. Like, yeah, you want any character to be dynamic, really. Not even just you want the villains, heroes. You want everyone to be dynamic. You don't want one-sided media constantly, or you don't want characters to be one-sided.
Yeah, because you need good heroes, you need good villains, and I feel like DC has some of the best heroes and some of the best villains, whereas Marvel just has some of the best heroes. They have maybe 3 really good top tier villains. Yeah. Outside of that, Marvel's like the best villains they have is like Doctor Doom, Thanos, Ultron, and Spider-Man, and then it's just Spider-Man's. Magneto as well is a pretty good villain.
Magneto's pretty good, yeah.
Spider-Man villains who are good, but DC has Batman villains, Flash villains, Superman villains, some of Wonder Woman's villains, Black Manta, which is Aquaman villain.
Yeah, because DC's villains are a lot. Every major hero from DC has iconic villains that are like, you can't talk about that hero without bringing up one or two, maybe even three of the villains that they usually encounter. Whereas, like you said, in Marvel, it's like, if I were to like bring up a hero, really?
Yeah, like Iron Man.
Yeah,
name a
exactly.
name an iconic Iron Man specific villain.
Exactly. Like the only Marvel character where I can pair a hero with a villain immediately is Spider-Man.
Yeah, the only one, because I
And the
did
X-Men,
do,
I guess, as a whole.
Yeah, I did do a little bit more digging, and I will say I do think Zemo is underrated.
You said you think who was underrated?
Zemo.
Oh yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
So Baron Zemo in the comics is basically the evil Captain America.
Yeah,
he is
the base design though. I dig
it. His design's fucking great.
Yeah,
he is a fantastic leader, able to, and he made multiple supervillain teams. By the way, with ease. He uses a sword and a gun. Captain America uses a shield, which is a good combo. But the main difference between the two of them, Captain America is like, I'm just doing what anyone should, or anyone could.
Yeah,
Zemo's just like, you're either perfect or you're not me. Earth's mightiest heroes legit has Zemo walk up to Thor, and tell him to bow.
Which, yeah, that's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a compare, because Thor. Well, yeah, everyone here, even if like you're not the biggest Marvel fan, knows what Thor is all about for the most part.
That's
having a human walk up to Thor.
That's comparable to Zemo walking up to like Batman or Superman and telling them to kneel.
Yeah, more like probably more like Superman, given the power discrepancy between him and Thor, which is still ridiculous.
The amount of balls to do that.
Yeah, dude's like peak human, telling essentially a god amongst men to bow. Yeah, which is hilarious. See, but like that's what makes that's cool. Seeing a character.
No one knows him because the Zemo we got in the MCU was such shit.
Yeah,
they really fucked up. They fucked up so many villains in the MCU, but we're here not to diss the MCU, we're here to diss the DCU. Speaking of which, they kept Ezra Miller, yet they threw away Henry Cavill.
Man, I will say,
what the fuck?
Yeah, it's a bit. It's a bit it's interesting to say the least. That's what I'll say. Because I don't know, man. Like, I think I would say that he. I don't know. It's one. I'm like leaning towards one of my putting them on the list in like favorite actors.
Yeah. Cause I do think I wasn't the biggest fan of Man of Steel or Batman v Superman, but neither one of those two movies can any form of blame be put on Henry. Because Henry was just given a script, but I've seen like behind the scenes of him, just talking to people, and he has this, he radiates like Superman energy, like behind the scenes.
Yeah, I should say favorite actor in DC, but yeah,
it's just like let Henry be Henry, and you'll get a fantastic Superman.
Which it's interesting you say that because I talk about this a lot. Is like it's so and I've experienced this now as like a voice actor. It's so unfortunate when because the directors say is usually like final, right? It's so unfortunate when an actor who is good gets they get downgraded by some bad writing, bad direction.
It really does suck. I hope I hope Loop's writing wasn't that bad. I hope my direction wasn't bad either.
No. See,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't say I've like really experienced it. It was just one time where like our first instance of like what I was doing, I was like, is this sure? I think we can do this a little better. Like, no, it's fine. And then some fan feedback let them know that they were like, okay, we'll redo it. I was like, cool, because yeah, I wasn't digging it the first time either.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
Yeah, and it sucks because so one thing I want to talk about is like, I saw the Supergirl costume in like the Flash movie, and it's just like, this is just Superman's costume. That's all it is.
Well, you said, let me see something, because that reminds me. You said Supergirl.
Oh,
that up, because I want to take a look at it. Because this is Could you repeat that just to make sure I heard you right?
It looks like just a Superman costume.
It does. I'm looking at it now. When did this come out? When did this start?
And the thing is too, like, I get people are just like, oh, why would Supergirl wear a skirt into battle? And it's just like, who the fuck cares? It looks good.
Yeah, I mean,
it looks good when she's looks feminine.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, hasn't Wonder Woman been doing that for like 100 years now?
Yeah. I mean, hell, she hasn't even worn a skirt all the time. Sometimes she didn't wear like any
like that one piece kind of thing.
Yeah, that one piece, which was let's be real, that was
what your mic cut out.
One woman in that one piece was nice looking.
Yeah, I can. Wonder Woman. I don't think she's ever had a bad look, honestly. Yeah, none I can remember offhand.
Yeah, she's never really had like a horrible look, but Gal Gadot also just radiates like she seems like just the perfect Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
it's a shame that Wonder Woman 1984, I think that what's the name of it. Wonder Woman 84 was just so crap.
Yeah. It was just another instance of I think, well, realistically, right? No actor you see in Hollywood, like the big, AAA or big titles, are bad actors for the most part, right? Very rarely.
Yeah,
you got to be really good to get to that level. Sometimes it's usually just the writing.
Yeah, and the problem with 1984 was the creator just given a blank check, and no one was willing to say, "Hey, I don't think that's a good idea," because if someone did, she would just be like, "Oh, you're this or that," and it just shuts them down, and it's just like,
yeah,
I think. Like, I'm the head of this project, and as the head of this project, I will say this: I don't like yes men.
Yeah,
I hate them. You're not helping.
Yeah, because you need sometimes. I mean, feedback, constructive criticism is important.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. I don't want someone to come up to me and just be like, "Hey, your thing's completely shit." Okay, why? Just because I said so. I'm just like that's just being a dick. But if you go up, hey, I think this is the best it could be for this reason, this reason, this reason, and this is why you as writers, one of the best things you can do, and one of my best pieces of advice is to get yourself a goddamn editor.
Yeah,
you will be truthful.
Yeah, you need people to just check behind you, because even if say you write something, you're like, dang dude, this is a masterpiece. It can't be topped. Sometimes that's based on your perspective.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to take a step back too.
In writing or ideas can help maybe add a masterpiece in your mind, push it that much further.
Yeah, and this is like the best editors and best directors are they're critics, but they go a step further than just criticize you. Because just criticizing someone isn't going to help all the time.
Yeah.
What a good editor and good director is a guiding hand.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just gonna say, one thing about taking media, especially like popular media, popular like iconic IPs, right? Because you mentioned like people are afraid to. They take, people don't want to take. I don't know if I want to use the word risks, but yeah, like people are just sort of afraid to like do things unique sometimes with like these popular IPs, right?
Yeah, some people don't want to take risks on things, which is it depends
Sometimes
on what
you
the
got-
risk is. Because if you're going to take a risk, then you need to take a risk smartly.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't just say, "Hey, Superman's going to kill everyone."
Yeah, you gotta.
That's not a risk worth taking, man. Because people will be on your ass because people are sick and tired of evil Superman.
Yeah.
Like honestly, we don't need evil Superman anymore. And you cut out. We're calling this the Cut Out Podcast.
Bro, I think I cut out again. Dude, that's ironic. Every time I go to finish, it had its moments, is what I was saying. It's evil Superman has its moments.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm going to say this, because I don't like Tom Taylor.
You said you don't?
I don't.
Alright.
Some people are going to get on my ass for that because, Tom Taylor has, apparently written some good stuff, and I'm not denying that they have, that they haven't written some good stuff. Like, the stuff with Harley Quinn and Green Arrow was good, but he completely misses the mark in, like, with almost every other character.
Can you give an example?
Hawkman.
Yeah.
In the Injustice comics, he hits his wife when she disagrees with him. And Superman comes in and stops him, and then he actively tries to kill Superman for quote unquote embarrassing him in front of her.
Which is
when he goes, "Oh, I see you can bleed." He has this crazy face like he's enjoying this, and it's like, no, this is not Hawkman in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Hawkman has loved his wife for thousands of years. He would not. He would never hit her.
Yeah, and as we discussed earlier, Hawkman,
he would take no joy in killing.
Yeah, he, like you said, he has to get pushed towards that, like very much so pushed towards that.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that like this is the Nigerian version of Hawkman, by the way, the alien version, who can take a lot more. And Superman kills him in 3 punches.
I mean, see, it's
after his kryptonite mace gets taken away, and it's just like, one, Hawkman has the Claw of Horus, which I know you probably don't know what that is, so let me explain it.
Yeah, go for
Basically, what the Claw of Horus does is that it takes power from the Earth, and it increases its mass at the most equal to Earth.
You said it increases its mass to when?
Equal to Earth. So translation, he could punch you.
Yeah.
Imagine that filled with kryptonite.
Yeah, it's like that's a ridiculous. Yeah.
And Hawkman is nimble too. He's not, because he had thousands of years of battle experience. So, even if against Superman, even without the Claw of Horus or anything Kryptonian, he could still lay hands on Superman.
Yeah, because
I'm not saying Hawkman will lose the fight, or win the fight. I'm not saying he will win the fight and he'll beat the shit out of Superman. No, Superman will end up winning, but Superman will have a broken nose.
Yeah, because especially I like that you mentioned that Hawkman's been around for like ever, whereas Superman is canonically how old? Like
35
in his 30s. Yeah, it's like Yeah, he's Superman. He's super powerful,
The
but
thing,
he's
the thing
just
is, though, the crazy thing is, out of everyone, Hawkman could have been the one to talk him down.
yeah,
Because he's lost his beloved wife like 1,000 times.
yeah,
He has lost countries. He has seen his city burned. He has seen his friends die in front of him so many times. He's been through so much of this tragedy, so much horrific stuff. Yet he still wants to do good.
yeah,
And he can relate to Superman, and he could tell Superman, "Look, I understand what it's like to lose a city and someone beloved. Hell, I even know what it's like to lose a child, like you have.
yeah,
I understand you. I'm here for you."
mm,
Because
yeah,
because out of everyone, Hawkman could relate to any of the heroes the most,
yeah. Like,
because they probably have not gone through the same shit he has been.
yeah, just simply on the ground of him having been so long lived. Because there's not too many other heroes who are as old as he is, except like,
Have Adam,
oh
Nabu,
yeah, of course, yeah,
those two, but those two have
yeah,
their own issues though. Because
yeah,
Hawkman gets reincarnated. He has lived over 1,000 lives.
yeah. Which, of course, means so many different lives across so many different just eras, regions makes for a lot of wisdom.
It makes for a lot of wisdom, and it makes for a very compassionate man.
Yeah,
To that, and he's willing, and it's just one of those things where it's just like, if you did a little bit of digging on Hawkman,
yeah,
theoretically Hawkman could have prevented Injustice Superman from going batshit crazy, and it
yeah.
would make perfect sense. However, that's not where they went. They went like full on like this like this parody of a quote unquote alpha male type person. That's what they basically did. They made a mockery of Hawkman,
Yeah,
and it all started with him hitting his wife. Because honestly, I would say Hawkman would much prefer Earth be not his business than hit his wife.
yeah. And
Even
like, hmm?
go on.
Oh no, I was dang. I lost it. Finish your statement while I think.
So Hawkman. So
You-
the way I see Hawkman is that if him and Hawko got to a disagreement on which side to be on, I say he'd probably say, "Okay, look, this is tearing us apart. I don't want to lose you. How about we do this? How about we leave this planet, come back and once we fully come to an agreement, we can come back."
Yeah. And I remember now what I was going to say is like about risk taking when writing characters. Deviating so far from how a character would behave. In this instance, we're talking about Hawkman. Big risk, too big, in my opinion.
Yeah, because it
'Cause-
just doesn't make sense for Hawkman to be like this.
Yeah, and I guess theoretically you could apply, if we're talking about Injustice media, you could apply the same thing to Superman, but
Yeah, I get that. I understand that these are not the exact same versions of these heroes, but a lot of them cast the same background. Like, I can see Hawkman 100% being, just like, I 100% Superman killing the Joker. 100% see Hawkman supporting that. But I also see him just be like, I support him killing the Joker, but that's as far as it goes.
yeah, because I mean, I've
I'll tell you this, if Joker came to Hawkman's hood, yeah, no, Joker is dead.
yeah, because I see, I agree with like that, as in characters, characters like the Joker, the Batman villains in general, who canonically commit like mass murder or what have you, essentially domestic terrorism, go to prison for like a couple of weeks and then come back. It's like, yeah, I mean, after maybe the third time, it's like, okay, dude, you gotta go. I would not blame any of the heroes if there was a plot line where they're just like, all right, Batman, you're sort of trolling over here, bud. This guy's done like 4 terrorist attacks. We're getting rid of him now.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons why in my universe, Joker is actually dead.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that a while back.
We killed him, and the way we did, because the biggest problem with Gotham is Arkham. Not because of the revolving door, that is a problem, but because the psychiatrists inside of it, most of them are corrupt.
Yeah.
They want to write a book about these psychos. They don't care about their well-being. They just want to write a fucking book about them. Look at Harleen Quinzel. Look at all these psychiatrists who try to write a book on the Joker, and they end up becoming some kind of supervillains themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, because
So in our version, Derek Cyrus, one of the psychiatrists at Arkham, who isn't a corrupt asshole, he actually straight up said the Joker is 100% legally sane. He may be insane in the broad sense, but legally he knows full well what he is doing is wrong.
Yeah, I could understand that.
And that is what ends up putting the bullet in the Joker.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. In our version, Joker, they tried to electrocute the Joker to death. He lived. A security guard pulled out a gun and shot him in the head.
Man, like I said, like...
the security guard got arrested, for murder because, that is illegal. And the jury basically are going to conclude saying not guilty because no one blames him for killing the Joker.
And that's like, as someone who like in the real, like, I study law, it's one of those things, and this has happened in real life where, like, there's instances where, all right, this guy's a little it's hard to say when you're talking about real people, but still, like, I can understand the concept of some people going, "No, this guy, we can't keep him around." So I don't like the idea of like someone just saying, "All right, you know what, got to get rid of the Joker, normal dude," and then everyone else going, "Okay, you know what, that's fair. We're not gonna charge you over that. We're not gonna." Yeah, it's like I can get that.
I remember one of the comments.
It's an interesting thing though when it happens.
I remember
media or otherwise.
I remember one comment where when they were talking and they were talking about, oh, Joker's going to die. Batman's not going like this. And I replied as Percy, who just says he does not get a say in the matter.
Man, yeah. And that I was thinking about this earlier, where like it's usually like 99% of the time when these villains get up to stuff, it's up to Batman or maybe the Bat family to do something about it. But it is interesting to think that, like, let's if we're going to keep, let's use the Joker for example. There, if he's inconveniencing, inconveniencing is like mild way to put it, ruining lives on such a massive scale constantly. It is sort of interesting, the idea of, someone like in this case, a random security guard, like you said, sort of just saying, all right, I got it. Fine, I'll do it myself, kind of thing. Because like you'd figure, right? Yeah. Even from outside of Gotham, right? Someone who maybe someone who's just like he looking at the news, Joker bombs a place again, and he's just like, "What, dude? What is Batman doing over there? You know what? I'm coming over."
See, and that's the thing with Hawkman's villains is like when you go into it, Hawkman's villains are brutal, but they don't blow places up. Most of Hawkman's villains specifically target him.
Yeah,
they want the smoke.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Very few, like, Gentleman Ghost is, just a robber. He's just a robber. But then you have Hathset, who takes it personally every time Hawkman comes back. It's like, I must kill you again so I can come back to life and live forever.
Yeah. Because, like I said, like sometimes things like that kind of cheesiness is fun sometimes, for sure, though.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I miss the cheese.
Yeah,
I miss some of the cheese. I wish it would come back. But
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why I like the Suicide Squad movies so much is that they were cheesy.
Yeah, cheese done right can be well excellent.
It's so good.
Yeah, just like
Bloodsport,
yeah, man.
Ratcatcher 2. I fucking love Ratcatcher 2. She's probably the best depiction of like Generation Z I've ever seen.
Mhm. Yeah, man. Because like cheese in media has it's a fine line, I'd say. Because at that point you're taking this comes back to that risk taking. I feel like if you make a movie and you deliberately make it cheesy, you're taking a risk, but you're taking like excuse me, it's a good risk. It's a calculated risk. Because yeah,
Yeah,
if it's the good kind of cheese and you have something that's good on your hands, something probably universal, maybe not universal praise, but I'd say overall praise,
yeah.
right?
I do also want to bring up Spider-Man just because I think it needs to be said.
Yeah,
Spider-Man's going through the ringer right now, and it is totally undeserved.
yeah.
Like
It's
to me, Spider-Man has been going downhill since One More Day.
Spy. Yeah, I could. Yeah, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on why. Because
This
I
is
was gonna
making
say, hmm.
this is making Peter suffer for no reason.
Yeah, and I see because Peter, I feel like Peter usually, well, no. Peter always has the tragic story, right?
Yeah, Peter suffers.
But
I'm not saying he doesn't suffer. At the
yeah,
same time, they're going there overboard with it. Like,
yeah,
because usually his suffering in the past had meaning to it.
yeah. It builds character.
Yeah, and it led to like him getting married to MJ and having this legitimately very happy life, and all this happy life means so much because of how much he suffered.
Yeah, and then it makes it more interesting to me, at least, when like you take a character like him who a lot of suffering. Like we brought up this with Hawkman, but he's still good person, does the right thing, and Spider Man's another character where he could one punch in pretty much every villain he has. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
how many villains he has where he can punch that like where if he full power attack them they live, except like Venom and Carnage or something like that.
yeah,
Where
because
yeah,
there's a story where Doc Ock took over his body for like half a second, and he
yeah,
accidentally punched someone's jaw off, and
explodes somebody's head. Yeah, knocks their
he's just
jaw off.
like, holy shit, Spider-Man's been holding back. What the fuck?
See, I love that. I love that's like one of my favorite instances in Spider-Man media because he's like, dang, dude, I would have been dead like a billion times over if this guy wanted me to.
Yeah, and there's something powerful about it's something kind of scary of someone just being like, I could have killed you, but I chose not to.
Yeah,
Like one of my favorite historical examples of this is with the first Old Man of the Mountain or the first Hassan. The reason why assassin is called assassins.
yeah, I've
Um,
heard. Yeah,
where someone was fucking around and Hassan could have killed him, but he didn't. You know what he did instead?
what?
He snuck into the guy's bedroom, put a knife on basically on the equivalent of his headdress or table with a
Mhm.
note saying "fuck around again and you will find out."
You see, yeah, and I
And
think that
he disappeared. And it's just like, oh shit.
yeah, and I don't. It's like I think I don't know. I think that's a good arc to potentially explore with some of like the really strong. Well, no, every hero for the most part has the potential to pull a move like that, right? Where
Yeah.
like just sort of like
Imagine
just
Red
have
Hood doing this.
yeah, man. Like
Oh my
just like
god.
I think that would work. I think that make for a fun arc where like sort of just have right in a way where they are explaining to someone who they maybe just don't who they clearly don't really want to kill, right? Have
Yeah.
it be right in an interesting way where it's just like, hey, bud, if you push me to the edge, you're just gonna die next time.
I can see Red Hood like seeing someone who is like troubled and everything, but he's really bad, and he decided to fuck around with Red Hood. Red Hood would let him go, but then when that guy wakes up again, he sees a bullet with a note from Red Hood, and just be like, "Get your ass get your act together before I come over and put that bullet in you.
Letting you off with a warning this time, yeah.
Look, I know, I understand your trouble, but you fuck around again, you'll find out.
Yeah, you don't want these problems, dude. Yeah,
You don't
man.
want the smoke.
Yeah, I love the idea of that. I almost forgot about that instance with Spider-Man. And like I said, I feel like that's something that could be fun to explore with like a lot more heroes, because every hero in existence is on the level where if the writer wanted to write in a pretty reasonable way that they simply just take out whoever their villain is, and not even in like a 1v1 like raw strength or skill kind of deal, just on some, on like a practical like Batman, for example. If Batman wanted to just assassinate his rogues gallery, it'd be easy.
Yeah,
Then
I can see Batman letting like Red Hood the one good thing about Red Hood for Batman is Red Hood is a bit of a deterrent for certain criminals. Especially since if, as I said before, the whole bullet thing. Imagine you're some low life criminal and Red Hood spares your life but gave you a bullet that's saying fuck around again and I'll put that bullet specifically in your head. You'd probably be like, yeah, no, fuck this.
Yeah, considering
I'm
it's
going
like
clean.
Yeah, considering there's someone around, because I mean, obviously, like a lot of the Batman villains, know that worst case scenario, they get their jaw broken. Okay, they get to live and maybe even do it another day for some reason. But yeah, like I do like the idea of a Batman villain, not even like a high tier one, but just some average dude who career criminal though gets out and he's like, all right, who's my next victim? And then Red Hood, they encounter Red Hood the next time. And they're just like, oh, you know what? Let me chill out, actually. This guy will kill me for real.
Yeah. Personally, between Red Hood and Batman, I like Batman more than Red Hood.
Yeah. Batman, even though we've been sort of talking a little trash about Batman's still cool. Batman's still fun to like
the fact
read
that
/ watch.
Yeah, the fact that Batman, to me, Batman is a represent, because there's so many videos I found of how to use Batman to better yourself. How do you use Batman as a example of how to become a better man? There are so many self-help videos out there using Batman as like the backbone.
Yeah.
Yeah, legit, and those videos tend to be pretty decent.
Yeah, like I haven't seen any, but I can think of a few reasons offhand just about Batman as a character that could, be motivating.
Yeah, and one of the number one things they say is always turn away evil.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself get corrupted.
Yeah, like
stay disciplined.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
Yeah, so discipline, and honestly, like the more we discuss this, the more I can sort of, in a way, relate, because discipline is like it's more important than people realize, right? When you're in certain positions where you having the right amount of discipline is a difference between you or someone else getting hurt or losing their life.
Yeah, because I'm going to probably say this might sound controversial. I think men need to be disciplined maybe more than women.
Have more discipline?
Yeah, because men all tend to be, on average, physically stronger than a woman.
Yeah.
So they are more likely to hurt someone than a woman.
Yeah.
I'm not saying women shouldn't have discipline. They should have discipline, but men need to, like the whole saying, men don't cry. I disagree with the idea that men never really cry. But the whole point is having discipline over your emotions.
Exactly, because
that's what it means.
Yeah, and not to put it out there like, oh, if a man loses control of his emotions, watch out. I mean, well, that's a real possibility, but
it is a possibility.
But yeah, it's more of like, I get what you're saying, because
don't break over every little thing.
Yeah, and that's something to live by for anyone, really. Just as far as just living a happy life, try not to let too much get to you. Because as far as the discipline thing, if I'm going to relate it to real world stuff, like, and it's I was in the Army, and like, even though it's nowhere near like the level of like what we're talking about as characters, it did teach me that just having discipline saves lives. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, because if you don't have discipline, especially if you're out on the battlefield, you could do something reckless and end up getting yourself killed or someone else killed.
Yeah, and here's like the big thing, people, and this is like the first thing people say. Oh man, if a sergeant, if an NCO yelled at me, I'd knock his ass out. It's like,
No,
okay,
you
buddy,
won't.
we get, and even if we're talking about the kind of person who would, right? Understand, the first thing I say is, dude, the reason you get yelled at, especially in like training environments, is, man, if you can't handle some old man screaming at you, dude, you're not gonna be able to handle getting shot at. Or
Honestly,
same old man screaming at you to do X and Y so you can get out of this alive. That's why they yell. Partially.
Honestly, I almost went into the military. One of the biggest reasons I didn't is because I didn't want to be punished for someone else's mistake. I didn't want anyone else to be punished for mine.
Yes.
Like, legitimately, that was like
Mass
the
punishment.
main reason. I could take someone yelling at me. Because
Yeah.
honestly, the worst thing I would do is just be a smart ass.
Yeah, nah, dude.
I'd be a smart ass back, get yelled at more, just continue that cycle.
Dude, I'm a jokester. Like, I can think of so many moments, especially in training. Like, is like it just get. I don't know. I find that to be funny sometimes. Like some of the, especially because drill sergeants come up with some clever ass things to like say or do to teach you why what you did was wrong.
Oh yeah, they come up with clever nicknames for you too.
Yeah, man. It's honestly more funny to me than anything. And like it's but yeah, it's like what they, and you start to understand it. Like the first 2 weeks or so, 2-3 weeks, called red phase, you're there and you're like, bro, why the hell did I sign up? This is cringe. All they do is scream at me. I can never do anything right. But after a while, you start to understand it. It took me maybe like till near the end, honestly, to understand that actually one of them sort of outright explained it near the end of basic training that, hey, remember when we were yelling at you in the chow hall arbitrarily because you weren't doing the sidestep and whatever? It's like, yeah, we were doing that so you get the memo. B, we were doing that so your peers in the back could hear us too. I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to repeat yourself 60 billion times to like 200 trainees.
Yeah. And it was, like I've seen videos of like drill sergeants and there's some funny shit.
Dude, that shit's hilarious.
In here, there's some, because like if you go to r/like store, like r/something, I forget specifically. There's a place where drill sergeants talk about some of the funniest moments.
Yeah.
Honestly, like going back to like, like you see like Marcus, like you saw Marcus in the writing and some videos in the series. He's a general actually.
Yeah, and
like a legit general, and he has a lot of discipline.
Yeah, because even though I was gonna say there's a lot of memes, jokes, especially in the military community. Once you get past like 03, once you get higher up in the officer ranks. But yeah, you got to be pretty squared away. You got to be pretty squared away to even like get your commission realistically. But especially if you're gonna like progress past captain.
Yeah, like the only person to really push Marcus's buttons was Captain Boomerang, but that's Captain Boomerang being a shitty face.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just some really cool stuff in DC comics. Unfortunately, I think Western comics are all going a bit downhill.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I don't take part in a lot of comic book media like I used to in the last 2 years. I've been getting a little bit back into it as I develop like character acting skills and sort of understanding how to embody a character. But
old school like comics also is really good for that, because I have some like Etrigan comics that I use as like reference point for like pretending, like practicing voice acting.
Yeah. And one thing is, I remember when I first started character work, not gonna lie, after like the 5th time, I was like, okay, I'm portraying guy who ex-military guy in authoritative position, usually like realistic type, right? Sort of like Bronze Tiger, where he's pretty realistic. Of course, he's the fantasy aspect somewhat, just how ridiculously potent he is as a combatant.
Yeah.
But he's otherwise mostly realistic, But after it wasn't even like a deep like, oh, I'm tired of doing these kinds of characters. It was like after maybe the 10th time, I was like, okay, maybe do something else. But as soon as I had that thought, I was like, you know what? What if I take and I was taught this by like some coaches too, who taught me basically to take a character, right? And like I said, this is like when I started learning to embody characters and add a certain dimension to them that based on my experiences, right?
Yeah. I think Bronze Tiger was like perfect for that.
Yeah.
Because again, he was, he was part of the CIA, Oh, I should have mentioned Bronze Tiger does know Percy a bit. But it's just saying, tired eye, messy hair. Yeah, that was everyone.
Yeah.
Percy was, because Percy is ex-CIA too.
Yeah. And yeah. And that's the thing is like, now I've never, full disclosure, no CIA experience, but I remember because I listened to the video recently. Well, of course, it just came out like a day ago, but I listened to the video and I remember chuckling at that line because it was, he was like, yeah, that's everyone, because it was funny. I was like, yeah, it's not wrong. At least I could imagine amongst them, just because all like the military and paramilitary, it's like, yeah. You're busy at all times, and no shortage of stress. Basically, is how I'll put it.
I think if Marcus Nate called Percy like Minos, Bronze would have been like, "Oh, that motherfucker."
Yeah, man.
Like the thing with Percy, the thing I wanted to say this again, like when you're writing something. Research is important. I did a lot of research on Percy, and I did a lot of research for Percy and Marcus.
Yeah.
Now, Percy is a good combatant, but he's nowhere near like Batman level.
Yeah,
like,
Batman.
But because of that, he fights it differently than a lot of other people. Because what he usually tries to do is try like a hand-to-hand or knife-to-knife combatant, situation. What he tries to do is tries to either get you in a headlock as soon as possible, or he tries to throw you to the ground and immediately stab you in the chest.
Yeah.
That's how Percy fights. Marcus, though, no. That's no fun. Marcus is a lot, physically strong, even at like 52 years old. Yeah, Marcus is 52, and yet he still fucks with Batman.
Yeah, because I know usually, which is impressive, like having such a physically strenuous job for so many years. Yeah. And how Batman's usually, obviously there's media that depicts him a little older or younger, but Batman's usually averaging 35 to 40, right, in age in most of his media.
Yeah.
Which is
which in our version I think he's like 42, 45.
Yeah.
He's on the older side, and Marcus is like 52. So, but Marcus can, you can't fuck with the League of Assassins and live, basically, because, but he's also very intelligent, but he's not anywhere near the top 10.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, Riddler could legitimately outsmart Marcus. I think, Oracle can outsmart him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Percy, however, try to outsmart Percy. I see how well that goes.
Yeah, man. And I was gonna say that, like, I like it when characters, and this is across all media, but it's like especially in comics where, because you mentioned like fighting styles. Now, the best fighters, of course, know like pretty much every style, right?
Yeah, they learn a lot of, they learn as much as they can, but you can only master, like, an average person can only master like 7.
Exactly, yeah. But they might have a little bit of, they have experience in most, maybe not all of them, but most.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like it when you take a character who would realistically have experience in maybe only like 1 or 2, maybe 3, whatever is taught in their field, right?
Yeah, because like for Bronze Tiger specifically, I can see him starting out off a Shaolin monk training,
Yeah.
which is how he's as durable as he is. Because Shaolin monks aren't as the best fighters anymore, but
The
fuck,
discipline, physicality.
some of the shit they do on an average basis.
Yeah.
It's
There's
just
that discipline
it's
thing.
insane. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
discipline. But then you also have like I can see him also practicing like MMA as well
Mhm.
and capoeira, some of these like very fast moving fighting styles.
Yeah.
Yes, whenever you try to pick out fighting styles for a character, you research those fighting styles and try to figure out which one works best. I'll say this though.
Yep.
Marcus does not have a fighting style. He's fought so many battles that he is legitimately good at improvising. Because he knows what you're going to do.
Yeah. Which is, I like that. Is in like, I don't know, I find it to be interesting. That's what I meant to bring that up earlier about like the characters who are the best, where they sort of just, they know so much that like they've sort of just blended it into just their thing.
Yeah,
it's essentially their own fighting style now. They've just blended everything together, which is why they're nigh unbeatable.
Yeah, which is why like Marcus is such a dangerous combatant even at age 52, is because the fighters cannot predict his movements, but he can predict theirs.
Yeah.
Like legit, no one's going to check Marcus unless they're Captain Boomerang or I can see maybe like Bronze Tiger be like, "Hey, you up for a sparring match?"
Yeah.
Nothing serious. The only one who actively tried to check Marcus is the KG Beast, but that's because
the KG Beast. Yes.
You want to know why?
Why?
I've said this before, but Marcus fucked over the KGB. Like they are.
Wasn't there like an instance where like he was essentially amongst? Go ahead.
He fought in the Iraq War, and he was also part of the original Suicide Squad.
Right.
With Igor, Minos, Roadrunner, Rick Flag Sr., and himself.
Mm.
You want to know why the Roadrunner is called Roadrunner?
Sure, yeah.
So the Roadrunner, he was a bomb expert.
Right.
And one of his favorite tricks was to use the enemy's bombs against them.
In the Iraq War too. I mean, no shortage of those.
I was originally going to call him Wile E. Coyote, that make that reference, but Jormungand made that reference before me.
Right.
Because I based Roadrunner off of their like Wile E. Coyote, which is he's so great. There's a scene where he really fucks with people with bombs and stuff like that. He uses the bombs against them. And he's just like, crap, I went a little bit too crazy. There's no way this child soldier is going to take me seriously anymore. And Jonas is like, shit, I should really start paying attention to his class. He might kill me.
Yeah, man.
Take a reference from everything else. Like, Jormungand is a wonderful. I would love to see like what an ex-military person thinks of Jormungand. Like, low key.
Your mic cut out. You said you'd like to know what ex-military thinks of Jormungand. Let me see.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec. Because I'm not that familiar with that.
You know Black Lagoon?
Yeah.
Jormungand is an unofficial sequel.
I'm going to look into it. That's because I searched it for a second. I saw that, but I wasn't sure if that was... Yeah. As far as Black Lagoon, because I've not seen it, but I know it's like one of those... How do I describe it?
Batshit crazy.
Yeah. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and say that... not even exclusively because I was in the military. I have always been interested in the... in firearms and whatnot, and just like that, just that. Yeah, let's just say firearms and like martial arts and whatnot. I was always sort of interested in that even before then. It's just that
you
getting,
would love Jormungand then.
yeah, because like I'm also a amateur gunsmith. I take up like I do. I have a where is it? I
Oh
have
God,
a
you're getting a Glock.
no, not a Glock, but I have a 1-to-1 replica of the Beretta M9 or 92F that they use in the first Resident Evil game. Well, it's in
I don't know guns that well.
yeah, but I don't know. It was just saying that, like, yeah, I'm in, like, yeah, it made me think about it because, like, I'm not only into that, but I'm into, like, media, like the nerdy stuff. So I take that hobby and like mix them together is what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
So that's something I would definitely check out.
Yeah, there's
I'm
some
not that familiar with
really,
it.
there's some really fun stuff. Like I remember a friend of mine were talking about like Captain America, going into the DC universe, and him and I talked, and we both kind of agree that Captain America will kind of see Batman as like special ops.
Yeah, well, yeah, I could see that. Considering Batman's, let's call it mission set, is well, no, his. Would you say his activities are general? I'd say he's a more broad, like.
Yeah, the reason why special ops came to mind was because of how stealthy and how much, because one of his main tactics is infiltration.
Yeah, be unseen, be unseen, and act with speed and aggression. Yeah.
Like even like the Arkham games is like a good example. You don't always have to just fight people head to head.
Exactly. You do what's practical and what'll win the fight quickly, ideally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see Captain America going on like stealth missions with Batman. Like legit, I could see Cap being stealthy, but nowhere near like Batman level.
Yeah, because I can see that. And Batman, he's versatile. Because like a lot of people think with like the special forces, the special operations that they like you said, do the sneak in, take out a guy, sneak out. It's like yeah, some of them, as we know, but yeah, it's there's different kinds, and they all have different mission set. Yeah, exactly.
Yep. I do think we all kind of running out of time here. I don't know how long Greg is able to keep up.
Yeah.
So we're probably gonna have to end this now. Any last things you want to say?
I'd say for the most part everything that we had in mind to say, or I had in mind to say, was covered. I do think that I will check out Jormungand and Black Lagoon. I've been seeing that around for like ages. Never watched it.
You have to DM me afterwards. What do you think of it?
Yeah,
we need to do a follow-up podcast on it.
Yeah, I'd do a follow-up podcast on that. Sure, because sounds interesting. I've been getting back into anime recently. Just any Japanese media, anime, manga, stuff like that. Because I sort of fell off of that too.
Yeah,
sure, I'd be down.
Yep.
My thoughts.
So, with that being said, this podcast is over. I would like to thank everyone for staying this far in the video. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and hopefully this channel will grow.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening.
Later, bitches.